Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it is time for your favorite time of the week, wrestling chat with friends. And the best thing about having friends is when you are in a tight spot, like me, having to travel right now, your friends can step in and help you out. And there is no one better that I could leave you with this week than the Jobbers Tears podcast team. They are just phenomenal and have been doing some amazing things for a very long time. So your favorite heel and heels is going to be a heel and duck up out of here so I can catch this flight. But I'm going to leave you guys in some just really good hands. They've got some really good hot takes. Cheats, we're not going to, Cheats Two Belts is still going to be here. Cheats Two Belts, the champion, is going to hold things down for us, but I'm going to have to catch this flight. But I love you all, and I'm so excited that you're here, and I cannot wait. I'm going to stay and listen, and if I can, I'm going to jump in with my own hot takes every now and then. But for our friends, I want everyone to know that there is not better hands that we could be leaving you in. So Cheats, I'm going to hand it over to you. You can better introduce our new friends and can tell everybody where they can find out more about them, and then we can jump right in.
Thank you, Megan. And I am so excited to be joined by one of my favorite podcasts. I mean, it's a crew, it's a collective. We are honored to have at least 2/3. I know the nation is large, but at least 2/3 of the Jobber Tears podcast. Janelle from HR, Mr. Blacc, welcome to the show.
Thank you. On behalf of the Jobber Tears podcast, we do thank you guys for taking the time out to invite us. Sorry that our other 1/3, he actually is currently training. He's in training.
Oh, fantastic.
So he's not able to join us. So he's at school right now. So
no, it is amazing to see what you have built and what you are doing and your takes and your videos and everything that's happening. And we're going to get into a lot of it. So we could hear exactly how the nation became the nation. But we have to start. Well, and a quick announcement as well. I am not alone. Ty Little Swole, we're big Swole fans, but Ty goes by Ty Little Swole and is having some technical difficulties. So he'll be here as soon as he can. And hold on if you haven't got his takes, because his takes are ridiculous. But we always like to start in kind of a contemporary space, a modern space. There's a lot that's going on in the wrestling world right now. And we always start with a little segment we call, "What are you popping for this week?" So in this week in wrestling, but you can go back. You can go back all across the spectrum, whether it's the Indies, WWE, AEW. Think about this week in wrestling or what's kind of top of mind for you and tell us, what are you popping for this week in the world of sports entertainment / professional wrestling / all of it?
Oh, wow. Wow. Wow.
What am I popping for?
Wow.
Look, I can jump in because y'all we
Well,
didn't prepare you.
Come on, Megan. Come on with it, Megan.
And that's the way we start every week. So we should have prepared you for this. But I am popping for the return of Jon Moxley. He has been confirmed to be in the Hammerstein Ballroom. This
for GCW.
Coming up for the GCW show. My heart was kind of waiting for him to show up at Wrestle Kingdom and be like, "Give me my belt back." But he will be in the Hammerstein Ballroom, and I pray he's well and that he's in a good space and ready to be back. But super happy to be having him back on the scene.
No, that's dope. That's really good to hear. Because
I got one.
That's here next weekend, so that's good.
That is the Hammerstein. They've been building that show up for a while, and obviously health first, safety first, and we want Jon Moxley. Anyone that has gone through what he's gone through, and also kind of have the awareness to say, "Hey, look, I got to step away. I got a new baby. I got to step away." So I hope he's right. I hope he doesn't come back too fast. That lifestyle on the road is crazy. So if he's able to come back, he's able to perform, more power to him, man. So Megan, I'm with you on that one.
I say for me, Tasha Steelz winning the first ever women's X Division match.
That's
a good one.
Yeah.
That is a great one. The first ever X Division match. That's right.
First ever. Like Tasha and the Javateers, she has done so much for us. And to watch her grow from seeing the first ever Battle Club show that I seen her at. She did our first drop. She did my first, she did one of my first ever female interview that I ever did. So Tasha was our main event for our first ever show. So history with us and Tasha is long. To see her thrive and an environment of impact, to me, it's just been a blessing and inspiration. Her being the first ever X Division match, also bringing on someone younger than her, Savannah Evans. That's another person who's part of Javateer South. Shout out to her. Just been amazing. So I'm popping for Tasha Steelz.
That's an amazing answer.
To follow.
That is a hard one. That is a hard one. That's an amazing answer.
What made me pop this week in wrestling? Honestly speaking, the whole Mickie James being in the Rumble and it being, for me, it's more of a personal thing because I've never been to the Royal Rumble, so this will be my first one.
Wow.
So being able to go and experience this forbidden door, quote unquote, because I use it in quotations because I think it's all bullshit, quote unquote, forbidden door, and to have, just now we're in this time of wrestling where it's so uncertain. Like you don't know who's gonna pop up, you don't know who's gonna wrestle who now. Like you just don't know. So I kind of like that feeling. It brings me back to like childhood wrestling, like when you didn't know on Raw who was going to main event until the day of, until Austin came out and started the show and said, I'm just going to whoop ass until somebody comes out. Nice. Like kind of thing. Nice. So I would say Mickie being in the Rumble and then just the hype for the Royal Rumble, I think is so dope. I think especially us living, in this pandemic and wrestling being kind of the one consistent thing all of us have had. Just can't take those type of things for granted. So I'm excited for the Royal Rumble.
Janelle, this is a spoiler for us here, but Mickie from, do you know where she's from?
From Richmond, good old
Richmond, Virginia. Shout out
Virginia, where we're at. And we were just talking about this before the show started. In regards to, I was taken aback. I really was taken aback that this was as big of a deal as it was. That the announcement of Mickie James in the Royal Rumble. And I'm sitting here I was thinking to myself, because the next thing, when they made the announcement, the next thing you heard was, oh, well, she's going to drop the belt. She has to drop the belt. She can't show up to the WWE as champion of another promotion. So when she didn't drop the belt over the weekend, because everybody also thought it was Purrazzo's turn, and there was a lot of that type of talk. But when she kept the belt, and then they're like, oh, snap, she's going to go into Royal Rumble as the champion. That's crazy. I was surprised that it became such a national type story. And so I'll ask you, because we were talking before the show started. Do you think that this is a philosophical turn for WWE, or do you think, let's hear me out, do you think it was owed to Mickie simply from the way that they released her and the whole trash bag and the negative press about that story?
Dang, Janelle, go take your part on her. Go ahead.
So I don't think they just love throwing that out there. I'm just like, okay.
Yes, I love bragging about you. I love bragging.
I appreciate that. Listen, if your friends don't talk about you the way my friends talk about me, my family talks about me, then they're not your people. So no, I appreciate it.
There you go.
No, the whole garbage bag thing, I think that was more of probably a misunderstanding than anything. I think that was probably something that was blown up out of proportion. Like when the world shut down here in New York and I lost my job, they put my shit in a box and was like, you either gotta come get it or gone type of thing. Like, so I mean, I think they've always had a relationship. Like I listen, I always say if Bret Hart can come back and kiss and hug and be in Vince McMahon's space,
you damn right.
Anything is possible. So
if anybody can come back, if Bret Hart.
Right. So like for me, ever since then, I'm like, listen, everybody can come back. There's no closed door. And I think it's a win. I honestly think it's a win-win. Listen, WWE's already done more for Impact than AEW did in this fake ass partnership. So at the end of the day,
I got push back on that.
I love it.
I mean, it's just the truth. Like so we recorded earlier today. I told the boys, I said, I would love to know how many people after they announced, because they strategically announced Mickey the day before Hard to Kill.
Right.
So that was a strategic thing to do where now Friday night you're watching SmackDown, over 1 million people are watching. I want to know out of that, how many people then was like, oh, let me order Hard to Kill to watch it, to see what happens and actually enjoy a very worthy pay-per-view. Like that buzz alone was more than Kenny Omega coming on and beating Rich Swann than anything for me.
That one I don't know. I don't know
for me, because their whole partnership was one-sided, in my opinion, and it never highlighted the women.
No, that part is true.
They never touched anything. Impact has the second best women's division in wrestling. So for AEW not to have a full partnership the way that they claimed they were, it just was like, yeah, okay.
But Janelle, it benefit us for them not doing it because you got Big Swole versus Tasha Steelz, AEW versus Impact. So it does us a favor.
Well, hashtag we did it first. Well, we was gonna do that way before even AEW.
We did it. We did announce it before WWE. 2 Black women main eventing event. Yeah, but I say it this way.
Oh, go ahead.
I say it this way. Any exposure is good exposure for Impact. You know, do I think that it migrate people over there? No, because it didn't give a reason. Because let's be honest, not everybody supports women wrestling like the way that they say they do. Like people say they love women wrestling, but they really don't. It would have been a bigger deal if a wrestler from WWE came over there to Impact, just like how Kenny Omega came on Impact Television, and it migrated so much people over there where some people actually stayed and kept on watching Impact, right? And the thing about it is how everybody was watching Impact before, a lot of it was on Twitch. They're not on Twitch no more. So during the whole partnership between AEW and them, they stopped doing it. That's the part that a lot of people don't say. So have WWE do I think they did it more for Impact? No, because Mickie James probably might last 5 minutes. You're not going to see the championship. They may talk about it, and that's it.
Well, you don't know. What if Mickie comes out number 2 and Charlotte comes out as number 1, and now you have 2 champions in the ring at the same time for the first 90 minutes, for the first 90 seconds? Then what?
Interesting. My only thought is because we're familiar with the promotions and the business. At an event like Royal Rumble, how many folks will just think Mickie James is an old WWE wrestler coming back?
Ooh.
That's my only thought. Because I still affiliate Mickie with WWE more than anything else. And I think the casual will be like, oh, that's like Trish Stratus coming back or somebody, you know. And so I'm like, if they don't show the belt, if they don't highlight that she's an active champion, which they should, then it's kind of like almost like
they already did when they.
I think they did in a way. Yeah.
They when Pat McAfee said Impact World. Yeah. I said, wait, hold on a minute, what? We acknowledging that?
Yeah.
Hold on a minute.
Which is a surprise, right?
Right.
It's definitely a surprise that the WWE would go that
direction.
That's
why I felt that, like, okay, if this is going to be the beginning of whether it's a partnership or one time off or whatever, I think it helps bring more eyes to what Impact's women's division can do. Because, like, who's to say she's the only Impact person that's going to be at the Rumble? They already rumored that 2 non-WWE people will be in the men's Royal Rumble. Like, once again, we're in a world of uncertainty, and I think that's the best time to be a wrestling fan, is when you don't know.
I agree to a certain extent, but it's also like he said earlier, you're going to associate it with WWE. You think that WWE is going to bring in someone like Moose that they don't really know like that? No. They're going to bring in someone that they trust. like a Y2J, a John Moxley, So like he said, they're gonna associate, oh wait, what happened to him? Blah 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 blah. I didn't know. I didn't know where they went because let's be honest, a lot of WWE fans, regardless of skin complexion, stick to WWE. That's it, nothing more. Just like similar to hip hop. There's some hip hop fans that only stick to the mainstream and that's it. So whenever someone comes to the radio, that's when they hear about it. So they don't know about they don't know about a they don't know about a Stan. They don't know about a Michael Bostic unless you into that scene deep into it. So I'm not, you know what? I'm not gonna give my full opinion because Royal Rumble is very far away. Because Mickey James could pop up on Monday Night Raw on SmackDown with the title. So let me keep my full mouth shut until the Rumble.
The interesting thing is, and we'll move on because this is just the first segment. But the interesting is I just don't trust WWE to act without the bottom line of the WWE. So no matter what they do, it's going to be crumbs here, maybe bigger crumbs, but crumbs here. But everything Nick Khan does, Vince McMahon does, it's going to come back to they're going to win somehow. So I got to figure out because there's no in this business, as much as we like to say, like there's still no, it's a bottom line business. So the kindness of there's AEW does what they do with the Forbidden Door and all that for a bottom line result. It has absolutely nothing to do with a lot of the other type of things that they want to say. Oh, we do wrestling differently. It's still a bottom line business. So I'll be interested in those guys over there. And I think, it's even, it's rubbing people the wrong way, I think. But I think Vince McMahon is a bottom line guy. We know that. Nick Khan has turned out to be a whole new different level of bottom line guy. And so it'll be interesting to see how they make this happen. With that said, segment 2, because we want to make sure, is all about the Jobber Tears podcast. We're so honored to have Janelle, Mr. Blacc on, and we need to learn more over here at Wrestling Chat with Friends about our friends, how it all started, how it built up, and I don't know who's the best to give like the origin story to where you are now, but I want you to brag on yourselves. Tell us a little bit about how Jobber Tears came about from the beginning and to where we are now.
Janelle, so which part you want to do? Like,
this is what he loves to do. He likes to alley hoop it to me, and I was going to tell him he can start, and I will fill in the blank.
All right, so
because I always do it.
So you start off with the original podcast because you are more familiar with it, and you introduce me into it, and then we go from there.
You see how he still passes the buck to me?
He knows
what it is. Him and his brother, they do it all the time. So I'm not surprised. Oh my god. What now? 3-4 years ago? No, wait. This year we had 3?
Like 3. Yeah. So start off with the first podcast.
So about almost 4 years ago, me and Sir Wilkins was a part of a different podcast that had just started from a different wrestling group. And it was really Sir Wilkins' baby, his idea. He was just like, I actually was insulted and I had to almost cuss him out because he started, like, he had the idea and then he posted on Facebook, is there any female wrestling fans that want to talk about wrestling? So I text him like, so we just gonna be disrespectful? Like, I'm not
because y'all go back. This is a personal relationship that he knows that you're.
So a more of a deeper background story. So Wilkins and Mr. Blacc are actual brothers. Like, people think that it's jokey joke. No, they are actual brothers.
Okay.
Wilkins is my best friend. Okay. So I met Wilkins from when he started doing the viewing parties here in New York, and then we just became Ace Boon Coons from there. So after I then almost cussed him out, we had started doing the podcast before we did Jobber Tears podcast. And then, we were doing it. It was cool for the most part, but it still wasn't creatively, I think, what he visioned. And I'm the type of friend, since we, Wrestling Chat with Friends, I'm the type of friend where I want to make your vision come the way you want it to be, because that's just what any good person, any good friend would want. So we so I always say creative differences, because that's just really what it boils down to. That's what it was. So we split ways with the other podcast.
Whoa. You gotta backtrack it, because you gotta say that the part when like when he went on vacation and I filled in.
So one episode. Other person that was doing the podcast didn't go away, and we needed someone to fill in. So Wilkins had asked his brother, and I think at the time doing the other podcast, I wasn't the moderator. It was me and Wilkins talking the wrestling. Yeah. But for that episode, I ended up being the moderator, and they were talking wrestling. So after we did the episode, we were like, oh, okay, like this was fun, cool. Table it. Then shit happens, and then now 3 years ago, then a year, almost a year passed, and then November, was that 2019?
Yeah.
2018. 2018, yeah. 2018. November 2018, we did our first pilot episode on Wilkins' birthday at Legend.
Yes. Yeah.
If y'all see that pilot episode, let me know how that looks, because I know
it's somewhere floating around. Like, I gotta find it.
Looks wild. So then after that, we were like, okay, what are we gonna name the podcast? What are we gonna say? How are we gonna do this?
Yeah.
And we sat in the name. Honestly, was the hardest part. Any podcaster that's listening that naming your thing is probably the hardest thing you can do. So we were testing out names and going around, and then I eventually said, what about something with jobbers? Because jobbers in wrestling terms is always the underdog. It's the person that no one looks at. It's the person that either always loses and never gets that opportunity, but then eventually they don't become a jobber. They level up. So then we tabled jobber, and then we were always talking about like smart marks and wrestling fans crying and complaining and all this sort of stuff. So that's where the tears part came in. So then we ended up putting it together. So we were like, the three of us were the underdogs in all of this, and the tears just represented our opinions, our thoughts, our love for the business. So that's essentially where the name comes from. So then we took, the holidays came, and then January of 2019, we started doing the podcast regularly, every week. Lord, it was the longest relationship I think I had in that time frame. Because it was
longest I've ever been on too.
It is a commitment. 4 years. It is
y'all need to get it together.
It's a commitment like no other. So we started doing that, and then we started doing the podcast, and eventually we just started to have fun with it. I think that was always our main thing, was never lose us having fun doing it.
Yeah.
So we've been through transitions. We were in like a ring, like a studio, not a studio. We were in a space,
office,
a meeting room. We started off in a meeting room. And then then after the first year, I told Wilkins and his brother, I said, listen, we need a studio. I'm tired of trying to figure out audio. I'm tired, because I forgot who gave that advice to Wilkins.
Oh, it was the Joe Budden engineer, the Joe Budden podcast.
I couldn't remember who it was.
Yeah.
So Wilkins is good for trying to get other ideas from people in the industry and stuff like that, which is really good. So he had asked the guy, what's your opinion? What do we need to do? Because we were already 1 year in, and we were like, okay, how do we grow? How do we do this differently? And the guy basically was like, you guys have to fix your audio first, before anything. So that was always the goal.
Words to Ty's heart here. Ty has joined us, by the way, and Ty is our audio expert. So he is Ty Little Swole. Can you is your audio fixed, Ty?
It is.
Oh, man, he's not smooth. It is.
He is our audio guy.
So that's voice.
That's music to Ty's ears. But we continue, Janelle, continue.
So no worries. So we changed it up. We had started recording in a studio, having the audio being better, the video quality being better. Then we leveled up and then got our theme song. So even though he's a pain in my butt, but also is very talented. So shout out to Montezi, who has done.
Hold on. You know I gotta give him props. Montezi does the official song for Big Swole and Sammy Guevara. So that song that Bob you hear when Sammy comes out,
amongst others.
Amongst others. But that man is a genius in the studio beat. And yes, he will be on AEW Black History album coming out. So give respect to my boy. So
that's a bit of a cheat. That's a bit of a cheat, bro. That's maxed out.
That's dope.
We've maxed that out.
Wait. So we got... And this is the part that I like to little humble brag is the main objective was just for like why I saw the job team originally, it was just for us Black people to have a voice. But then as we got into the incorporate the Jobbeteers into the viewing party, we realized that this is bigger than us Black people, but we are forming a culture, you know, for many different walks of life. You know, doesn't matter of skin complexion, you're welcome in the Jobber Nation. As long as you have wrestling, and you open-minded to have discussions, you're welcome. And our point was to everyone eats. So if you're a podcast, you want to come on, we got you. If you're an up-and-coming wrestler, especially in the indie scene, we're welcome to come because we're here to present everybody, everyone who's doing something. And even with us, you know, eventually we started branching off to doing our own other podcast. So someone talking Mr. Blacc Show, Mr. Black's Neighborhood, friends with games with Nelly and stuff like that. We create a network. Within this network, it expresses us, you know, because we're not just wrestling fans, but we are fans of we are people having life experiences. So the Jobbeteers mean more than just a podcast, but it became a sense of a family and community to people who didn't have communities, you know, especially when you see people come to these wrestling events. At first, they'll come in there not knowing nobody. The next thing you know, they're part of the team or they find their own clan. You know, yes, during this journey.
Or they find their husband.
Oh, yes, that's not.
That part.
Yes.
They got some Jobbeteers marriages?
We got a Jobbeteers marriage and a baby.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Wow. In 3 years, they move fast up north. What's happening here?
Yo, listen, it's different.
The first one was kind of adopted from the old wrestling group, but we were all family from at that point.
That's amazing.
And then the second one, they met at a viewing party and they started dating, then got married. Then had to
tell us about that level up, right? So it's one thing to have a podcast, but it's another thing to have, like you're saying, viewing parties, events, going to events and building that community. Well, how did y'all figure that out, and when did that kind of switch flip for your podcast?
So our first year was more of our foundation. It was definitely us figuring out, do we even like each other? Like, can we be in the same space? Okay. And it's interesting because once again, they're brothers, so they have a different dynamic, and I'm kind of always in the middle. But for us, still is to this day, forever. But our first year was our foundation year. Our second and kind of like third year and beyond, it was more or less just giving people the platform to, you know, promote themselves, to be involved in the wrestling community. So one thing we really started doing our second and third year was we started sponsoring a lot of independent shows that we personally knew people that were either a part of, whether they owned it, whether they were wrestling for it, whether they were, you know, I was blessed. I started doing commentary, which is the hardest thing to ever do in wrestling, I will say.
So underrated, so hard.
And it's a crucial piece and component to wrestling that is kind of not talked about as much. So, but yeah, I started doing commentary and things like that. I actually did commentary for Faye's Gray Sweatpants Battle, which I would love to hear how me and Tasha sound because we were obnoxious. So it was the first time I was booked for WrestleMania weekend. Like it's been a roller coaster ride, but I would say for us, it was definitely getting more into the indies, building those relationships, because they were the ones that were wearing our t-shirts and shouting us out and telling other wrestlers and promoters like, oh, you guys need to get on this show. Like there were people starting to come to us and saying, we have to be on your show. And we were just like, why? Like, what do you mean? So we started doing that.
That's a crazy feeling. That's a crazy feeling.
It's right? Still weird. It's still wild because To us, we're just us. Like it's we love wrestling. We love the people around us. We love the community that we've cultivated. Like we have a whole like Java tier style. So we have a whole bunch of guys and girls from North Carolina, South Carolina that we created friendships with that wrestle.
That's
and
crazy.
We kind of created their own kind of like niche, kind of like market for Java tiers and stuff like that. So we started sponsoring shows, and then we got a really good partnership with our good friend Joaquin Morales, who is primary owner of Battle Club Pro at the time. And, you know, we were sponsoring a lot of the main event shows, and that just kind of helped us kind of like see the bigger picture and things. Mm-hmm. And then year 3, we were like, all right, we got the viewing parties check. We got the indies kind of in the Northeast, you know, everybody kind of knows everybody, check. What's the next best thing? Doing our own show.
Wow.
So it low-key started off as a joke, because we were just like,
it was a joke. Wait, backtrack it. The original Java Slam, this is like, you have to be there to be there. It was originally us having beef with another podcast. You know, we actually have vignettes. We have vignettes of us beating up another podcast and wrestling shows and everything. We fought at the bar. It was a whole series. Me versus my brother, Java Slam. That was the original Java Slam.
That's like Java Slam 0.
Yes, yes. And then, like Janelle said, we was like, we're gonna make it to a real wrestling event. And
we were just like, well, let's.
That's crazy.
Show. So it jokingly started. It started off as a joke, but in my mind, you know, I've been a wrestling fan since I was a little girl, and it was one of those things that I was like, yo, we really can pull this off. There's nothing we can't do. So we had originally did the announcement January of 2020, where we were going to do Jabba Slam 4th of July weekend in 2020.
Oh, geez. Pandemic time.
Yeah.
Right. So we had announced it at the show, and at the time, co-main event, but it was going to be Simon Miller from Woke Culture versus Sir Wilkins, and that was going to be his first match. Yeah. So that was actually the first match we had announced. We had everything, you know, we had that locked in, and then the world shut down. Said not today, not this year. So we kind of scrapped Jabba Slam in 2020, and it was hard because we really wanted to.
We waited last minute too. Yeah.
Not even last minute, just was the pandemic. People still was trying to figure out their lives and figure out. There were certain people that didn't know they still wanted to wrestle. There was a lot of stuff going on. So
it was a lot.
Mm-hmm. So we definitely pressed pause on it, and then I would say late of 2020, the conversation we picked it right back up and said, all right, next year we're gonna do it. No ifs, ands, or buts. Unless like the world decided to shut down again, then that's out of our control. But so then January of 2021, we remade the announcement of doing Java Slam, which was July of last year, the last weekend in July.
And is Java Slam the first show you guys ever promoted?
The first show we ever put on. The first show.
How many matches?
10?
Okay, matches. Let's just be honest. 2 goddamn matches. No,
was it 10?
10.
Wow.
10 matches where we had Swole and Tasha main event for the Battle Club for Icon title. We had our boys Prolific. Once again, shout out to Marcus Marquis and Isaiah Wolf, who are 2 very good friends of ours that
and Tyree.
We've seen their beginning, and of course Tyree Taylor, but we've seen those 2's beginnings. Like they were training when we started, doing the podcast, and they were just getting their feet wet in the wrestling business. And to have them go against Shane Taylor Promotions, that I literally was in the corner. I was by the door because the boys didn't see me. I was by the door, and I literally was in tears when I saw them come out, because it was just like, I can't believe we did this. And really, it was for them. It stopped being for us. It was never about us. It was really giving back to the community and really giving back to, wrestling and everybody that's been involved with us at the Jabba Tears podcast. So we had that. We had, who else? We had O'Shea from Shane Taylor Promotions. We had
Mysterious Q.
We had Mysterious Q up and coming out of Texas.
And you had to, just so I know, in regards to throwing your own show, you had to be the booker and all of this for everything from ground up.
About booking. That's
about
promoting.
That's amazing.
we're talking about finding sponsors. So I'm.
Oh yeah, the sponsor part.
Tough. It's in a pandemic. You're still in a pandemic. You're doing all this still in a pandemic.
Yeah, honestly, and we did it low-key underground too.
Yeah,
we did super underground. Yeah, like one thing that I have to say though is people that we was friends with throughout our whole lifetime. Could have been that year, years ago. People just say, you know what, I don't watch wrestling, but I will buy a ticket and don't worry about it. Give my ticket away. Like that's how much donation we had from the community.
Yeah, we had a lot of people that last minute was like, I can't come, but here I'm gonna purchase the ticket. Like I tell them all the time, like my mom's never watched wrestling, never been a fan, don't know what's going on. Yep. When I tell you my mama came and showed up, she sat front row. That to me will everyone that meant something to us showed up and showed out. So we're forever. And listen, and we ended, like I'm telling about the show ended. Swole was a new champion. We started doing electric slide. That's how you know you at a Black event.
So you have a Jobber Tiers champion.
Well, it was our Jobber Slam was in partner with Battle Club Pro.
Okay, I get it.
So fast forwarding to then when we were at the show and the primary owner then asked me if I wanted to be co-owner and put me in a
phenomenal.
Spot. And I was like,
phenomenal.
And that's how she become co-owner of a wrestling company.
So then the next show I accepted, even though everybody's always asking me for 2 months straight, like, what are you gonna say? And I'm just like, you gotta come to the show and figure it out.
See.
But the reason why was because, and we spoke about it earlier today on our podcast. So when people hear about diversity, it's not always about you counting how many Blacks. Like it's not a quota thing. Mm-hmm. It's also being a representation, not only in front of the camera, but behind the scenes. And it was super important for me that I've always had a love for wrestling, but to be behind the scenes and being able to have a different type of relationship with wrestlers, it's a different feel and it's a change. And, for Swole, the day after Jobber Slam was just like, I'm so proud of you. Like, there's nothing but good things coming to you. And you guys are awesome. Like, everybody for like months was talking about Jobber Slam. So that to me was better than anything, which is just people just being supportive and being there for us. So in that saying, Jobber Slam 2 will happen this year.
Breaking news.
It will. Well, we just don't know when or where.
Or the title, or the subtitle, it might be above. It might be Jews, New Jack City. We don't know yet. We don't know.
We wanted to make it an annual thing.
Ty, let me bring you into this conversation because you are here and your audio works.
Yeah.
I wanted to but look really quickly before I do that, and I'm sure, Mr. Blacc, I'm sure you hear this all the time. I'm sure you do. But if you ever had, like, I don't know, a Halloween costume or put up that side by side with Apollo Crews, I know you get it all the time.
Yeah, I do.
He's got Apollo Crews.
Right, I need a Nigerian outfit.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you, it's we have never done. I've never done a wrestling kind of promotion, but the way that you describe the journey is so familiar. 10 years ago, I was a freelance hip hop writer in Richmond, Virginia. I still am, but I'll tell you the interesting thing was what you said was as a freelance writer, especially covering indie hip hop, you're going to shows, you're paying your way to shows, all the MCs, all your friends, all the DJs, producers, and so forth. When it got to the point where it switched and they were like, oh no, you need to come cover this show. And then for us, it was, okay, now the big acts are coming to Richmond, Virginia. Like, whether it's Wu-Tang or Jeezy or whoever, let me put you on the list so you can write about the show. Then it flipped, and you had mentioned Joe Budden's producer. One of the shows that our team threw back in the day, I thought he was retired at the time, but we hosted the Rage. Was it the Rage tour? Joe Budden's, one of Joe Budden's last tours. When he did the Richmond shop, we promoted that. So we bought in an
wow.
AZ. AZ is one of our favorites. We did an AZ show in Richmond, which are these.
Wow.
So the idea of switching it from starting it from where y'all started to actually promoting it to booking to owning, I have nothing but the utmost respect for what y'all have been doing. That journey's amazing. Ty, let's start shooting some flames, Ty. Flame the questions, Ty. You've been mighty cool tonight, brother.
Oh, I mean, I'm actually enjoying the talk. I'm enjoying the journey that these two have been on. And
thank you.
And this is the part that a lot of people, I want to shine light on this. Like, as you're in this journey, especially when you get notoriety within your field, you have to stay grounded within yourself. So that's why I tell anybody who ever come into like a media space, make sure you go see a therapist. And in your journey, especially when you don't come in knowing who you are, you get lost by becoming a character of yourself to please the audience. So get a therapist. Take time out to know who you are, because you will get lost. This is the part where we talk about, even when like a lot of people don't know this, but like I was basically not to no, I want to shine light on this. Like I was basically going through depression and anxiety at the same exact time as I'm getting this whole notoriety through the show. Going through dark periods, going through suicide thoughts, thinking about killing myself. It was a lot. And at the same time, I got to put a smile in front of the camera. And when I'm around people, I got to put up a front. So that's the one thing that I have to say that I was also like a big blessing, is finding who I was and knowing who I was and sticking to who I was too. Because during the time also I was going through weight changes. I was close to 300 pounds and now I'm a lot thinner. So going through all of that within the show, it was just like, it was crazy. So that's why I always tell everybody, you watch the show, you always say that it's like dropping jewels, because people see me, and I encourage you, if I could do this, you could do this too. Simple as that. Like, we're both humans. I may have a little bit more privilege than you, but doesn't mean that you don't have privilege also. So that's one thing I want to shine on. Like, mental illness was the biggest thing that I had to deal with as getting this fame, because you're coming from where you wasn't a popular one, you wasn't a cool kid, to where you are the cool kid. That's a shift right there. So as you come the cool kid, you have to remember where, oh shoot, I was also them. Let me have sympathy and have understanding and welcome them to the fold. So that's one thing I want to shine light on too, getting where we at right now.
That's amazing.
That's
amazing.
word.
Ty, you got a question?
Yeah, I got a question.
Okay.
So I don't know, if what Mr. Mark has told you, or Megan has told you before she had to go on her flight, wherever she's going to. They call me the WWE guy. I don't know why.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really even watch WWE.
He's live from Connecticut.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Right,
they building a whole new building. That's okay.
Mm-hmm.
I like to bring people down, back to reality with this AEW stuff, with the the new, everyone's falling in love with the new.
Mm-hmm.
WWE ain't going nowhere, but I do want to know, what's been the worst experience in this whole promoting, this whole journey, this whole.
You go first,
Worst thing. I mean, there's always glimpse of good, even if it's bad. I will start by saying that. And what's always been meant for us is been us. Like we ourselves have never changed. Like we tell people all the time, like, if you see us at a show, say hi, don't be afraid. Like I've literally had people just be afraid, like, oh my God. And they'd be like, no, like we regular. We the same. Like I'm a fan just like you. It's okay. Yeah. But our worst would be people really not being on your side about things. And it coming from people you would least expect it from, in a way. And it's not to say like we're not perfect by any means necessary. And we've always been so big on not only Black excellence, but also putting those, us supporting those that support us. Those are always our biggest two things. And I think in this journey, just kind of weeding through the people that are for you and that are not for you. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't mean that necessarily that they're bad people or like they're the worst ever, but they're just not a part. Everybody has, in your life isn't for a season or 2 or 3 or forever. Just it really depends on, the situation and, certain individuals that, we thought would have been, not only being positive, but also being supportive were not. And it was like kind of like almost letting go of the dead weight, but that's a part of the journey. It's not it's not a bad thing. It's not a knock to anybody or anything, but it's just you get to understand not only yourself more, but also who's deserving of your energy and of your time and of your space. Because not everybody's gonna be good for you. Not everybody's gonna be like us. Like for us, like when we genuinely are on some like, yo, tell us about your show. We'll come and pull up. We come and pull up. Like out of the 3 of them, I'm the one that probably travels the most. And I've had friends all over say, yo, I got this going. I got that going. Okay, bet. I'm coming through. Us seeing, me and Wilkins going and seeing Yaya win the PWX title for the first time. That meant something. Us going to WrestleCade this year, and this one losing his shit over Vicky Guerrero and all type of stuff. And Sting lost the shit about Sting, but I did too, so that's why I didn't think nothing bad about it. But in actuality, you learn who's really in your team and who's really holding you down through the dark times and through the good times. Like, our journey has not been perfect. Our journey has had ups and downs. It's been times like I don't know if you had heard, but I said this time that they done had arguments and fights right before we recorded. And there were times we didn't know the podcast was going to continue. Like, just straight up. Yeah. And it's not even on some like, it's on some like they are blood related. Like, it's the perfect shit. But at the end of the day, just I think are now in a space where we're just like, what's meant for us will be. We appreciate any and all support. We don't focus so much on the negativity because there's a lot of negativity and toxic shit in wrestling in general. And just in life, and we just make sure that we don't focus on that and we focus on what's ahead of us. Like every year we've always set goals and things that we wanted to do for the podcast, and I think that's something everybody that does a podcast, whether it's wrestling or not, should do. You should have certain goals and certain marks so that you hold each other accountable for certain things. But that's what I would say. The darkest thing is just certain people that were in the beginning of the journey is not currently with the journey, but that's life. So
I say the bad part about doing this is I'd say long as I have the same thing, but I think for me is like the two-face. Our people are very two-faced. Very two-faced where people will smile in your face and behind your back will try to stop what you're doing. And they think that we won't find out. And that's how, like, it's bad. Like, we be looking like, so you don't think that we talk? You don't think that we're on the phone with each other? You don't think that I was just at his house and was just smoking and he just gave me some bud? You don't think he's not going to tell me over you? You don't think that I know his mother? Like, when I say I know people's mothers now, I know that I'm looking like nothing get past us. So to hear the jealousy, to hear that, dang, bro, like, we let you have a podcast at our viewing party with no charge, bro. And this is how you do us, though. Copy. That's the biggest thing I learned about this business. Like, people don't understand, if we all work together, everybody could eat. But people want to be first. Not understanding. When you come down, all the people that you screwed will be there looking at you like, yep. So I think betrayal is the biggest thing about it. Betrayal.
That's crazy. Let's switch some gears because we want to be very respectful of your time, and you guys have been phenomenal. Let's switch some gears back to some in the ring talk right now. What is the biggest storyline across any promotion? But what is the biggest storyline, biggest upcoming? I know you talked about the Rumble a lot, but what's the biggest storyline that you're tracking across We'll go with Janelle from HR because I see Bobby on the screen. Bobby and Brock, MVP Paul Heyman, whatever Roman does in this scene. What do you think's gonna happen? What do you want's happening? What gets you so excited about Bobby and Brock being in the ring?
Well, it's first things first is that this is what Bobby Lashley has been wanting since he came back.
Yeah.
So for him to now get the match that he's been dying for when he came back, that was NOLA we were in New Orleans. Yeah, for WrestleMania, and then that Raw he debuted, he came back out. So it's been some time, but for Bobby to get that opportunity, and also to just, I think it's a shift gear. I honestly thought Bobby was going to win the Rumble. I kept telling them forever and a day. I was like, listen, Bobby winning the Rumble was his way of getting Brock. But they said no. We could just make the match, and you don't have to win the Rumble. I said, oh, that makes it easier. But I mean, it really was like we talked about actually earlier when we recorded earlier. It was an audible. That was not Brock winning was not the original plan at all. So, but I think now you can tell that Brock's having fun. You can tell that Brock's comfortable. You can tell that Brock has grown because people were always like, oh, he's a mouthpiece. He doesn't talk, doesn't do this. When I tell you, listen, Brock had me when he had the boombox and he was bopping. That for me was it. I was like, oh, he got charisma. Why are we stressing about that?
Now he's telling knock jokes and funny ones.
Right.
Shit that got you tickled. Like you can like, wait,
I'm tickled.
So I think now it's something that it's that hard reset every year when the top of the year Rumble happens because now we're on the road to WrestleMania kind of thing. And I think the route that they were going, I think the Bobby and Brock can definitely lead to this not being the first time that they wrestle each other. Because apparently they're going to Saudi in February. So you just never know. That's why I said that when we started, I said the level of uncertainty is what keeps me like intrigued. And it's like, and it's a different type of certainty because AEW does uncertainty and it's just like, what the fuck? That don't make no sense, but okay. But with WWE's uncertainty right now, when it comes to Brock and Bobby and, Seth and Roman, like it's just so many players involved that you really don't know I don't know who's going to win. I like the fact that I'm just like, I'm just going to watch and see what happens and let the chips fall where they may. But I think Bobby and Brock is just, is gold. And, and then Seth and Roman, them picking back up, because they have history and things like that. That's how you pick up a rivalry back up, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. Not everybody can do that. But I think, I think them doing that, I think it sucks that, Sasha's out and Woods is out. Injured. Like certain people that won't be, that are injured and shit happens. Like there was one year, there was the WrestleMania in Dallas the first time because I went, everybody and their mama was injured. Everybody was injured at WrestleMania. Like it was wild. So I think it's just a good time. The uncertainty of WWE and what lane they're gonna go in right now, I think is what keeps me like, all right, I'm locked in.
Mr. Blacc.
I gotta go with my man Hangman Page. I've been following that story from the beginning of AEW, and now him as champion, I'm intrigued. Like my brother said earlier, him versus Daniel Bryan, that miniseries solidified. That was one of his signature wins during championship reign. Even him coming to where he was, become champion, overcoming self-doubt, overcoming depression, overcoming all that, lose your way, getting your friends back, all that whole storyline. Now I'm looking like
alcoholism,
all of that. So me looking at this like how he's going to maintain all of this. Is he going to fall? Is he going to crack? Of course, when you know the background, but I suspend all my disbelief. I just see him as a competitor, and that's it. And that's how me to enjoy the storyline because that was like he's not a traditional. His characteristics not traditional wrestling where we traditionally grow. Confidence, macho, all of that. No, he's a millennium champion where he go through issues like, dang, bro, I know how it feels not have a friend. And I turn to alcoholism, I turn to doing all this stuff so I won't deal with my feelings. To me, that's amazing. So I'm following Hangman Page. And I'm also following Shane Taylor Promotions. I'm following them boys. because, like I said earlier at the show, if Ring of Honor was smart, he should have been champion a long time ago, and they would not be in this position. I'm just saying. So I'm following those two right now.
We already know why. We already know why. I told you why.
Ty, what do you got? What are you following closely?
So it was going to be the Forbidden Door and all that nonsense and all that kind of stuff, but now, nah, they can have all that.
He said, "Nah, man, they can have all of that, man." I like this guy.
Bullet Club is going to be on Impact. Jay White,
yes,
Tamaloa, Tamatonga, Jado, Gato, all of them in Impact. That's the real Forbidden Door has been Impact this entire time. Coming from the ashes of 2010 with the Hulk Hogan era and that garbage time that we
don't talk about the era. We don't talk about the era.
Yeah.
It was bad. It was bad. But
yeah,
for them to dig themselves out, twice, reimagine themselves as now Impact and doing what they're doing. They've been working. The Briscoes were just on. Jonathan Gresham was on there having a match with Honor Rules that I don't know anybody who knows about Honor Rules like that, except for like maybe a couple people.
First of all, that was low-key gangster of him that he don't even got the pure title anymore. How you making your title match pure rules? Like, who does that?
That's what I'm talking about. The Octopus, that's what does that. I mean, I everything that Impact is doing, I am loving right now. It is.
You saw that bridge he did? That bridge pin?
Yes.
He always does that though. I said this earlier when we were recording. I said he is by far, and I'm very big on technical wrestling. By far the best technical wrestler right now.
Yes.
Across the board. There's nobody technically touching Jonathan Gresham. Now, can there be other things that could be better? I would listen. If AEW gave me James Bryan versus Jonathan Gresham, I might give them a pass for like 2 weeks. I might give him a little pass for about 2 weeks. 2 weeks. If they did that.
Janelle needs to be on with Megan. Megan is the biggest AEW mark. So so
maybe it's a good thing she
I'm pretty much there too, but she's the big. So yeah, it's an interesting. That's phenomenal. All right. We are running close on time. We got 2 more things we got to do.
Yeah.
We do a segment. So we're going to go super fast. And it might not give the justice it needs to. But as we mentioned, as y'all mentioned before, we are fans of the old school Source magazine as well. So we don't do a 5 mics. We do a rate the wrestler from 5 belts. But it's the same scale. So you can only do 0.5s. You can't do anything else. You either get, you get a 4.5 or a 5 or 3.5. There's 3 categories. Okay. It's mic work, in-ring work, and then what is it? X Factor, right, Ty?
Yeah.
It's like mic work, in-ring work, X Factor.
Okay, I love this. All right, let's go.
We are going to rate the wrestler, and just because it's on Janelle from HR's shirt, we are going to go tonight.
I have a few, though.
Bobby. No, we're going with Bobby
I have
Lashley.
a few on here.
We're going with Bobby Lashley.
You're going with Robert? Okay.
Rate the wrestler. So you give a number for each category, and we'll break it down. So mic work, in the ring work, X Factor, 5 belt scale. I'm gonna throw it. So give you some time to think. We'll go to Ty first. Ty, Bobby Lashley, mic work, score.
1.5. But
wait, what though? Wait, hold on a minute. That came out. First of all, you already had that in your mind.
Yeah.
But I didn't even know what category it was for.
This is for mic work.
It was mic work.
Mic
Bob
work.
is not good on the stick.
But
he's not good on the
valid.
stick.
1.5.
1.5 is not good on the stick at all.
Okay.
I mean, his first WWF, WE run, his ECW run, his TNA run, it was just he's not good on the mic. He needs a mic. He needs a mouthpiece. And MVP,
he's always had a mouthpiece.
Yeah, and MVP has been that mouthpiece. He has been that need for him. Even back when he was in the Beatdown Clan, I mean,
I'm with you. I just say that's still like that was like
it just was like it was the E40 side. So it just came out of nowhere. It was like came out of nowhere.
That's the E40. That's what Big telling E40 negative. negative 10 on the scale. All right, 1.5. You've justified it. Mr. Blacc, Bobby Lashley on the mic out of 5 belts. What do you give him?
I give him 2.5 because he came a mighty long way. Like, he find his strength in mic work. Like, I talk for 2 minutes. I say what I have to say, and that's it. So, to me, it gets the job done. Is it the best? Far from it. Far from it. Right. But Bobby Lashley, I like to say, he's an action star, an old school 80s action star. You say a few words, you kick ass. That's it. It doesn't fit in today's modern day era, but he makes it work because he's larger than life. So,
okay. Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves. I get it.
Okay.
Janelle HR. No. Janelle HR, just mic work.
2.
Bobby, you give him a 2 on the mic.
Yeah.
2.
All right, so 1.5, 2.5, 2 on the mic. I'm going to go with Mr. Blacc, give him a 2.5 because I respect, like Mr. Blacc said, he can actually lead a segment now. He might not talk the whole time, but if they give him the opening segment, MVP says his thing, but Bobby's going to talk. So I'm going to give him a 2.5. Switching gears. Well, that's still the lowest score we've ever had in ring wrestling.
A 1.5? Because
the 1.5 is brutal.
Yeah. Holding Sammy. Dang.
In ring work. In ring, can he go in the ring? I'm going to start with Janelle from HR. Bobby Lashley, in ring score out of 5 belts.
3. Because Bobby's a powerhouse. Like, once again, it goes back to my style. Everyone has different styles of wrestling that they like. So people like a powerhouse. Give Bobby the 5. Someone like me that I like a good technical, like, listen, Bobby Lashley's not putting nobody in a figure 4. He's not putting somebody in the ring of Saturn. He's not doing any of that shit. So for me, it's like, I can appreciate the power that he brings, but the technical side of things he doesn't have. And that's okay, because that's not his style of wrestling. So that's why it would be a 3 for me. Okay, next.
Mr. Blacc, in the ring work, Bobby Lashley, 5 belts.
I will say, if this young man says 1.5, though, y'all gonna have to give me. I can't.
I'll be weak.
Because I feel it low-key in his bones.
We're going with the Mr. Blacc. What you got?
I gotta say, Bobby is a 5.5. 5.5. 4.5. Reason why I say a 5 because it's, to me, like, I like the Daniel Bryan. I like the Shawn Michaels type. That's not my favorite style of wrestling, but like what he does in the ring, it's amazing. From his spear, from the way he sells, from the way all his moves believable. If you want a little technical wrestler, he will give you it. And Bobby Lashley knows what he does. That's it. If you want somebody that can fit with any of your wrestlers and make it look believable, Bobby Lashley. That's it.
All right. I'm going to go with a 4.
Okay, why?
And I believe what both of you have already said. Right? Because you're right. He's not going to do anything technical at all. He doesn't have to. In the ring, it is brute force. I still think of that time he dragged Kofi up and down for, 20 minutes or something. Not even an offensive move. And I was looking at that and I was like, oh, snap. This is what we're going to get. And this is what we should get. And I think they had to find it. I know my brother Ty is going to go through TNA and ECW to where he is now, but where he is now is one of the top 5 most dominant forces in WWE, period. Top 5, maybe top 3. In regards to if Bobby's in the ring, it's going to be a dominant match. So I'm going to go 4 in-ring work because of the spear, because of the hurt lock, because of when he comes in the ring, he's going to do what he does over and over again, and it's going to pulverize him. So 4 for me. Ty, take us home.
Uh-oh.
Y'all not gonna like this one. Dang. It's not a 1.5. It's a 2.
It's a 2.
2. So his spear isn't any better than Roman's or Edge's or anybody else or even Big Show.
His spear is better than Moose.
Yeah, it's better than Moose. It's better than Moose. I will give him that. But Moose can do a whole lot more. If you talk about power, Moose is a better power wrestler, even in Bobby at this point. Brock, his hurt lock or the master lock, Chris Masters got that still. He has one of the best master locks that I've never seen, the full Nelson. He just throws around like a rag doll. So it's not better than that. His power game is not better than Brock's. It's not. It's just not. Brock can throw you around. If you're a big wrestler, a small wrestler, it don't matter. He's gonna throw you around like a rag doll.
Brock suplexing John Cena for 16 times. I can understand.
Brock,
Bobby Lashley did toss around Big Show though. And that limit shit, he tossed him. And he tossed Tetsu. And he tossed Drew McIntyre. This man be tossing dudes. And he tossed that big dude Impact too, like he was nothing. So he has a different style than Brock. You know, you don't want to imitate Brock, but I can see what you mean though.
Yeah, it's just when I see him, I unfortunately, because I do see a poor man's Brock Lesnar.
Oh, but I think that's just you comparing the two, though. Like, I
mean, if we're rating, we had to compare them.
We gotta rate them. We gotta rate, and just so you know, just like I said, just like the Source magazine, when you get to a 5, that's a classic, right? There's only so many 5 mic albums. So if you get 5 belts, you're talking about the best of all time. So 4.5 is extremely high. 2 is on the other scale of that. You know what I'm saying? But this is the last category. X Factor. So we've got mic work, we've got in-ring work, and then that X Factor star quality. Is this that dude or woman, however you want to say it? Ty, I'm going to you. No. You know what? God. Mr. Blacc, I'm going to you, Mr. Blacc. Mr. Blacc, I'm going to you first. Out of 5 belts, how many belts do you give Bobby Lashley as an X Factor star in wrestling?
You see that man? That man is 45, and he looks like he is 30. Mm-hmm. That man moves like he's 21. Mm-hmm. That man looks great in a damn suit. He has the it factor and everything like that. That man is a 5 when it comes to the X factor.
Classic.
Like, I gotta say, is the only federation that did him right was Impact. If you want to see Bobby collection of work, Impact is the best place to display it. WWE finally got it when it transformed him to the Almighty, aka the Black God, but that took a while. If you want to see his body for work, how he was 3 champions at once. I don't see WWE giving 3 champions at once. They did it. But he was 3-time champion. He's money in Bellator. So the fact that he go overseas right now and make like just as much as Brock in Bellator, that means something. That man has the it factor through and through. Like, woo! Like,
there we go. There we go. We're gonna have to stop it there. Ty, 5 belts, it factor. What do you got?
So stripping away MVP, stripping away the Hurt Business, stripping away the Beatdown Clan, stripping all that stuff away. He has presence. He does have a presence about him. So I got to give him a 3.5.
3.5.
3.5 because
I like it.
Like Mr. Blacc said, Bellator, Impact did him right. WWE is getting him right now. He does have that presence, that menacing presence. So I do have to give him that. Just don't ask him to say more than 4 words ever.
Action star. That's it. 80s action star.
I'm gonna give him a 4 on X Factor star power. It might have been a 4.5, but y'all talked me down a little bit. But I'm gonna give him a 4. No. Now I'm not because I'm saving the best for last. Janelle, saving the best for last. I'm gonna give him a 4.
Not gonna like what I say though,
because I do think he can carry. I think what he's doing now with the Almighty, what he did, I like the Hurt Business. I love the Hurt Business. And I loved him being the front of the Hurt Business. And I look around and I see, especially in that particular promotion, what they're trying to do with what they tried to do with Drew, what they've tried to do with other kind of Bobby worked his way to get to the point where he is. And now he's winning people over to the point where they're kind of confused. Is Bobby a heel? Is Bobby a face? Like, what's going on? Are we supposed to be cheering this guy? Because you know, the WWE does this thing where it's kind of confusing. He was supposed to be a heel until he went through like 3 different competitors, right, to get into the title picture. And then everybody's cheering him at the end of the night. He did a modern day Rocky where they started booing him. And by the end of the night, they were like, Rocky. So, you know,
you're right. I never saw that. You're right.
I'm giving him a 4 because of that presence tag that you mentioned. But I think where he is right now, he can be, him and Brock could headline a WrestleMania type event. He's got that X factor, and the crowd might be a little, maybe not 100% split, but there will be people in the crowd that want to see Bobby Lashley go over. So I'm going to stop there. Best for last, Janelle from HR.
Uh-oh.
This is the last score that we got. It factor for Bobby Lashley.
So you guys are probably going to hate me, and it's okay. I'm going to give Roberto, because, you know, he low-key Spanish. I'm going to give it a 3.
Wow.
And so I say 3 because when I think of it factor, when I think of that X, like what makes you unique and different, it also does include crossover ability. And I don't see that as of yet. Maybe it'll be in the future, maybe it'll be around the corner. But if we're talking right now, January, what's today? The 13th of 2022. Bobby Lashley hasn't done crossover appeal enough for me to make me feel like he has the X factor. So like what I mean by crossover, if those that are wondering what I'm talking about like somebody like a Sasha Banks that's in the what was that the shit she was on?
Mandalorian.
There you go. Because I don't watch that shit. But yeah, she's in that. She opened up the national championship football game.
Yep.
We were talking about Big E's run earlier today, and I said for me, he was champion not only in the ring but outside of the ring.
Yep.
And I get it. Sometimes it's hard when especially you're a heel and you have that heel base that you can't really do too many things outside the ring, but there still are things you can do. And Big E took that and took it to the moon when he was champion. It was something Bobby didn't do as much as I would have liked to have seen. So, like, for me, that X factor is always going to be that crossover appeal. It's going to be like, are people going to go to Foot Locker and buy your sneaker?
But sorry to interrupt you about that with the X Factor, but it's also WWE. It's what they allow you to do. You understand? So if Big E with the PR team that they had, they set him up good to do all of this. Because when he was champion, he didn't go on those shows. Like I've seen champion heels go on shows back in the day though. So if the PR is not giving him nothing to work with, you cannot put that all on Bobby.
But no, but also too, Bobby, it also has to be something like when Sasha Banks did all those things, those were things that she loved. Those are things like outside of wrestling, she loved. When Xavier Woods and them were doing up, down, down, and he's hosting video game conventions and stuff like that, those are things that he loves. So it's not so like you can always give it a 50-50 thing, but going back to the bigger picture, when you look at the overall and you're looking at who is going to have that, like that it factor, got to have that crossover appeal. And Bobby hasn't hit that mark yet. It's not to say that he won't. It's not to say that it hasn't happened in certain glimpses, but overall, it hasn't happened. So that would be why it would be a 3 for me. But
I think that's an amazing answer. And I also think that everything everyone said in many ways is correct. I think for you to be an action star, for you to be a star in general, you've got to want that, and you've got to want people in your corner that want that for you. The interesting thing about Big E, and I know this because I follow a lot of folks that are close in the industry to Big E, right? We'll follow the Kel Dansby's and the Andreas Hales of the world and all of those. And many of those folks will tell you they've been waiting on that Big E, that just the Big E crack, so they could run. And when we talk about run, there's no coincidence that Big E's at all the big fights, doing the intros and doing the Sean Porter walkouts. But that is stuff that you've got to have basically what they did with Big E's run, the Big E's people outside of Big E basically asked for forgiveness as opposed to ask for permission. So Big E was going to be at the Iowa football game and in Vegas the same night. And they were just like hoping that the WWE didn't tap him on the door and say, hey, you got to get authorization for this.
I like that.
This is what happened. We know because they'll talk about it on their podcast. They'll talk about, we just had.
Now?
What's that?
Is there a new episode of the podcast? I haven't seen no new episode.
I think so, but we'll talk about it. But the interesting thing is, I think, because somebody alluded to it, I think Bobby Lashley's just a different cat. Bobby Lashley's older. He's married with family, settled.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's one of those things where I think I think he would take certain opportunities if they come his way. But this is his run to be in the ring. Maybe 6 months from now, 12 months from now, and he looks at saying, can I do something else outside of? Can I make these? Because Roman's the same way. Roman's got a bunch of star quality and action movies and all that. Roman's not really looking at that right now. He's got to be like, this is our run right now. 6 months from now, like I said, 8 months from now, after WrestleMania, we'll see what happens. Ladies and gentlemen,
wow,
I got to tell you really quickly. So the final scores, as we average them out between the four, this is the first time I think we've averaged them out between four of us. But Mike Work gets a 2, 3.5 for in-ring wrestling, and 4 because there was an outlier 5 in there for X Factor. So 4 for X Factor. We break all of this down mathematically in our system. Ty, that brings Bobby Lashley's overall 5-belt score to a 3. It averages out to a 3. So I don't know where that puts us. We did AJ Styles. We did Sammy Guevara.
Oh, when was AJ? Hold on a minute. I didn't know there were others.
We did every episode. Every episode we did
like a 4.5.
Yeah. Every episode we do.
AJ
should be a 2.
Oh,
he was like a 3.
Sammy was lower. AJ was our highest score. Okay. We got to get the Jobber Tears podcast at it. Let's thank you so much, Mr. Blacc, Janelle from HR.
We had fun.
Thank you.
We got to do this again with the full crew.
We got to. We really appreciate what you've been bringing, continue to bring, and what you are doing. And it was an honor for us to learn even more about what you're doing. So it's phenomenal. Tell everybody where they can follow you.
Obviously, you can follow. Matter of fact, I let Janelle handle the
I was looking sitting here waiting once again for him to pass the buck. Because that's how I end the show, so that's why it's weird for him to
you gotta end this. So I'm not gonna say this. You can find me on Instagram at _Mr. Blacc, MRBLACC. Please check out the my interview with Mercedes Martinez and Mr. Black's Neighborhood pilot episode, and please look out for other projects from the Mr. Black's universe and the Jobber. Janelle, take it away.
Okay. So you can find us at the Jobber Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, and on the Bluebird. You can also, if you are in the New York City tri-state area, the boys will be at Legends for our Royal Rumble viewing party. It's Sir Wilkins' 10-year anniversary doing viewing parties. So it's been a decade of viewing parties in New York City. I'm super proud of him. So you guys can always come out, support. We do it for most of, as long as COVID chills the fuck out, we do it for all of the major pay-per-views, WWE and AEW as well. We may sprinkle an Impact or 2 if the demand is there, because people have asked us and we have done it before. You can once again follow us on YouTube, subscribe to our YouTube page, Jobber Tears Podcast. Not only would you be following not only our podcast, but all of our umbrella, our sister podcasts. So you have your sports, so shout out to Dre, TV, and Matt and Pete, celebrating their 2-year anniversary today, from them beginning your sports show. You also have Sesson Talk with me and Amanda. You have 2.5 Bros with Wilkins, Ronaldo, and Lawrence. What am I missing? I feel like I'm missing anything. No, I'm not. But once again, thank you as much. You already know. You took care of you. We know. But we do, as much as you guys thank us, we thank you guys for giving us the platform to come on and live a little, not it being like, I'm like, listen, for somebody else to post, I'm always game to be on the show.
Look, Megan is our normal host, so we're just filling in.
Tell her I feel her pain all the time.
Yeah,
because it's not easy being the only girl in a situation, but it's needed. So I'm glad you guys have a strong female on your team. Awesome. And then once again, I'm trying to think any shows will be at. If you're in the New York area, HOG tomorrow. Like I mentioned during the show, Ace Pro Wrestling is in Jersey and T-Neck on Saturday. And then GCW's in town.
That's next week, right?
That's next weekend. Yes.
What's on the 20th?
Next weekend. I don't know. I feel like something is happening and I just don't know.
BCW got canceled. That was it.
Yes. That's what it was. So yeah, Rumble, and then the second weekend, President's Day weekend, I'll actually be in Dallas. We are sponsoring a show out there, and the match that we're sponsoring is Calvin Tankman versus Darius Lockhart. So we're sponsoring
the intergalactic brother. Event. We love him.
Yes.
I'm just getting put on, but we love him.
Yeah, no. So we're gonna sponsor that match, and then once again, we'll be in the DC area February the 20th for a fight show, which once again the main event is Big Swole versus Trish Adora. Yeah, February 20th. That's the 20th. That's what we're
we got to figure that one out, brother.
I mean, I can always
so the game plan actually is for us to do a meetup. I'm gonna try to find a nice little brunch place either near the show or not too far. So we're gonna try to do a meetup for everybody in the DMV area. There's so many of you guys that have supported us from the beginning. Like one of our biggest numbers is actually from that Virginia, Maryland area. Yeah. So we definitely, all of us are coming down. So we want to be able to, hang out, meet up with everybody, talk, some wrestling, but also network. That's always going to be our main thing moving forward is we want to be able to get people that we know the tools and necessities that they need for them to level up. And that's what we're here for. So whatever you guys may need, whether it's now or in the future, you guys know how to find us. Please let us know. We're always here to support you guys.
That's love. Yes. That's love. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
As we get out of here, Ty, I'm going to ask you to double up, Ty.
Yeah.
So your heel of the week outside of wrestling, and the wrestling match we all should be looking out for this week, like your historical Ty wrestling match.
All right.
I like that.
Really quick, heel of the week is going to be 2022.
Already,
of itself.
You gave it a whole year.
Took Danny Tanner away, took Betty White away. Like, come on.
Yeah.
That is the exact reason why. Fuck 2022 already.
All right. And then what's our match?
One guy that you need to look out for heel is Darius Carter. If you want to heel, the healers of the most healers of the business, look up this guy, Darius Carter. Look him up. You will not regret it.
I'm gonna look it up. I love healing it up.
And your match, Ty?
The match is going to be. Let's see. Let me go back in the memory banks. Oh, there it is. Young Bucks versus the Hardy Boys. ROH 2016, I believe. Yes.
16 in New Orleans that I was there for.
Yep.
I literally, so it's a funny quick story. I literally flew into New Orleans literally an hour. I landed an hour before that show. My homeboy that was in town, because he coaches basketball, like college basketball. He was in town recruiting, and the women's head coach of the University of New Orleans actually was an alum of St. John's University. So because we all are from St. John's University, he was able to get free tickets.
Nice.
To that show. So I sat where like the media sat for that show because it was Supercard going against NXT TakeOver. And I was like, I always go to a takeover when it's here in New York. I'm gonna go to Supercard. I've never been. I definitely was glad I made that decision because that was probably one of the last times all of those people were in the same space until now.
Until now.
So it's weird.
Dang, you're right.
So
there you go.
Oh, and if you're feeling like a Rumble, I would suggest either Rumble 92, Rick 1, or because that's what I just watched the other day, or what? He's not gonna remember. Or Royal Rumble 2003.
Who won that one? 2003.
03. Rey Mysterio. That was the year. No, Rey Mysterio. It was the year. Well, it was months right after Eddie had passed.
Yes.
So he went into the Rumble at number 2, and dedicated the match to Eddie. Came out in the whole low rider thing. Base. Spoiler alert, I guess. Thanks a lot, Mr. Blacc. But Rey Mysterio won that Rumble. Because then he went on the headline WrestleMania, and that was when Eddie went into the Hall of Fame and all that stuff. So I just like whenever it's a big 4, I like always watching the old ones to lead up to the one that's happening. So
got you.
Well, on that note, look, Ty, I'm not gonna. You're wasn't your heel outside the ring last week, Antonio Brown, AB?
Yeah, it was.
I'm not. So I'm not gonna piggyback off this or belabor it. But now that AB's hanging out with Kanye, I don't know what to think. My head's about to explode. And that part of the heel factor of non-wrestling type stuff. So we'll have to figure it out long term. I don't know where this leads, but yeah, we'll see what happens with all of that. It's been a crazy time. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Wrestling Chat with Friends.
Yes.
We got to get out of here. We want everyone to follow the Cheats Movement. It's no longer the Cheats Movement Podcast Network. It is the Family Podcast Network. And we have a new URL that we want to share to all of our audience, which is thefamilypn.com. Thefamilypn.com. You can see all the shows that's on the Family Podcast Network. Subscribe. It's still just getting started. This is our first month, and we still have to do a lot of things to become live, but we got to do it with your support. So we're very excited about that. We will end the show like we always end the show. We're going to count you out on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. We're out.